Welcome back to New Day, and Thursday, of course, our discussion on pensions continue unabated. Sadly, is the end of the last 8 weeks here. It's been wonderful having you here. I hope we can push you to come again.
I'm sure.
Would that be possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to pay anything. But yes, you've been very good. I mean, we don't give you a dime for coming. National service.
Probably my third
for
one.
For God and country. For God and country. Anyway, so we are wrapping things up on our discussion on pensions. We have all learnt a lot. I mean, if you haven't even learnt anything, you know that indeed with the new Pension Act, there are three main things you need to be dealing with: the trusts, the trustee, is it? The trustees, the fund managers. Interesting. The custodians. All right. So last we were talking about preparing for retirement, how you need to psych yourself up for the last day at work, and you said that it begins the day you're employed.
Yeah.
How do you live your life after 60, or even when you decide to take your retirement earlier than 60? Okay. So what are some of the questions that you've been receiving? I'm sure you've been bombarded with a lot of questions from the phones.
Yeah. Many of them got to do with those who are already on retirement and are having issues with getting their stuff processed. Mm-hmm. Others too are by young people who are not working but want to start, planning for their retirement. And I find many of those calls came in where young people, I'm in school, but I think that, hey, I have to start preparing. Yeah. And so how can I get to join some scheme? And I found those as very exciting.
As long as you're not using your school fees.
And for me, I found that as very exciting, because then young people who hitherto would have closed their minds on pensions are beginning to look at it again. True. And beginning to have a sense of wanting to plan for the future, which obviously we all don't know how it will turn out like. And I get a few people also calling in to complain about their companies are not paying their contributions and they don't know how it is done. And there's been various concerns, but I am happy because it means that people are listening, people are taking a cue, and that's the objective of this section.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when you retire, and you talked about the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the honeymoon, you're 60 years old, and you've probably invested in some small business that you think would keep you, will take care of your health, will take care of your kids. I mean, sometimes we have pension babies around.
Nana, you see, a little, reading around would bring to mind, or if you go attend PTA meetings, I've attended a few in different places, in places where I was in charge, so I saw it. You would find out that a lot of people, talk about 40%, are people who have children in the primary schools and they are nearing their retirement. Mm-hmm. Because for some reason, we don't marry early.
So should that be part of your retirement planning?
You see,
to have kids early?
I'll tell you three things that people have to think about. One, I'm retiring with a spouse. What is the condition of that spouse? Okay. Is that spouse also retiring early soon, or is that spouse already on retirement? What are the conditions? Do we have children that we still have to support? These are things you want to ask yourself. You don't. Do I have other responsibilities like going to be paying fees? Mm-hmm. Then I need to factor all that in. So these are crucial stuff. I mean, I would wish that people, when they are ready, I mean, that's a whole new area we can look at, getting ready to enter into a marriage situation or to give birth and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Because you also want to ask yourself, if I get married at 40 and I'm retiring at 60, and you want to look at that, would that mean that some basic responsibilities as a parent will still be on me when I retire? Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who retire with still young children that are in basic school or that are in secondary school that they still have to take care of. Probably some of them, their current employment, the company gives them some scholarships or some allowances for their children's fees. The moment you retire, it ceases or it stops. So even some of them, health care, your children are covered under you because you work in that company. Yeah. Some say up to 18. So if you have a 12-year-old, 15-year-old, or even a 5-year-old, and you retire with them, now that coverage is no longer there. So it means that it is not only your health that becomes an important issue to you, the health of your children, your spouse. And don't forget that when you are growing, your health condition deteriorates. So it means that a lot more will go into you taking care of your health. So these are things that somehow people just forget about it. But the moment you enter in there and those things that were questioning you are no longer there, then they become the reality and you have to deal with it.
Okay. So, not as a pensions expert, would you advise that we have our kids earlier?
I mean, I think it's the best thing to do, because even medically, from the letter I have read, medically, especially for women, there's a certain age where it becomes a risk, trying to, get babies, because your systems are no longer as strong as they used to be. And so even for a man, it helps in your planning, because then you are younger, you can work hard and be able to take care of your kids, and you have a lot of time with them. But when you are growing, other things pull on you. So you may not even have time to, and you see, when you are younger and you are bringing up your kids, there's a certain bonding that happens. When you are older, the children see you as way out off their understanding. This morning I had a dance with my kids. Yeah, you believe it? No.
And you can't do that one.
Well, they've been trying to teach me. But that's what it means, because if you're old, you probably won't be able to do the dance like I did this morning. And so it helps to plan these things early. It's all part of the planning, because whether we like it or not, life becomes a lot difficult when we are aging, because it comes with other, natural consequences, like health, like your inability to do what you used to do when you were younger. You could do 2-3 jobs, but now you can't do probably just one. And so it even reduces your exposure and your potential to do other things.
How about being taken on as a consultant after you've retired?
Those are the areas, those are the positive areas. And many people who have seen that as an opportunity have taken advantage of it.
Okay.
And whether we like, in some countries, when you retire, that's even when you become hot. Because then it also depends on the kind of job you found yourself in, the profession you trained for. Because you would have then had so much experience that there are things that you can do that younger people cannot do because they haven't had that experience. You understand that? So those are areas that we expect them to be concentrating on. Because like we said, in planning, you also have to plan, what can I do with the skills that I have built for myself all these years that I've been working. And I don't know about this part of the world, but out there, when people are retiring, that's when they're even hot, because people are looking out for them, their wealth of knowledge, their experience, they want to bring them on board and use them.
Okay, now, I've also been receiving a deluge of questions, and some questions I cannot answer. So, yesterday I put all in one mail for you. So it's going to be a simple Q&A this morning. Let me locate it. There we go. All right. This one was sent to me by a friend, a very good friend who works with Barclays Bank. And he said that he's only 38 years old, but he wants to go for early retirement at the age of 40. Now, he wants to know if it's a good thing to do at 40, or should he do another 5 to 10 years? He's confused. He doesn't know which one is good for him. Should he take an early retirement or wait for another 10 years? But he thinks he's invested enough in himself to go out and do his own thing. What do you advise?
You see, you can do your own thing and continue to pay up your contributions. People see that if I stop doing official work, then it means I've retired. No. You see, for the purposes of getting your maximum, pension, rights, or being paid your pension, there are two conditions. The first condition is that you do a certain number of months, which is now with the new law, you do 180 months. That is 15 years. And then you also hit the age of 60. But we have what we call early retirement, but it reduces your payment or your benefits that you will get. And so we'll advise people.
I think that's his problem.
Yeah, I mean, it will reduce his, retirement benefit. But I do not think that if he stops working with Barclays, so to speak, and start his own business, it precludes him from continuing to make contributions to the scheme. No, it does not. So he can actually retire, from somebody's job and start his own work, but continue to make contributions and then earn the maximum, retirement benefits that he can get.
Okay, this one came from Ayele Panku, who sent this on Twitter last week, and I put it here. Ayele says she and her friends actually went to a Senate office to check on their the state of their account, their pension account, and it turns out that the employer has not been too faithful. Can they take legal action against this company? Yes. Okay, so Ayele, if you are watching,
what it means that a company has defrauded them, especially if they did a deduction.
Is it rampant?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we take it for granted, but a lot of employers do that.
But how often should the employee be checking?
I think presently they have moved on. So let's hope that the reforms that they have instituted, the coming into effect of the NPRA that is overseeing their work and everything, will give, because I have contributions with SNID. You have contributions with SNID. So it is not like, SNID is important. We all must find a way to make it work. Because whether we like it or not, I think it's the best thing that we should do. Maybe in the future, when we put in all the necessary safeguards, we can look at another option. But as we sit here, looking at the economic conditions and situations, I think that those who are pushing that agenda must relax. They must take it easy, one step at a time.
Okay, now to, I know we also mentioned the education.
Yeah.
Educating people about, pensions.
Yeah.
Okay, what other angle should we take? Because it looks like we've stayed on the same road, sensitizing people, but it's really not enough. What other angles would you advise the authority?
Now let's ask us which other social issues are people so passionate about? Education. Every parent today knows about education. They knows about what happens within the sector. How did we do that? We made it a household issue.
Okay.
Organizations must take the education personal. You see, organizations must have well-being setups. Their HR units and department must take. Look, sometimes you speak to HRs and don't even know about the law. And HR, I'm telling you, they don't know anything about it. So you have to go in there and educate them. Say, sign it here. So at the end of the day, if it is important, and we need to get every employee on it. First of all, the employee must make it part of his responsibility also. It is your future. Your employer would have wished not to pay, but it is your future that is going to suffer. So you must also do a personal conscious effort to read, to find out about what is happening. What is this new law about? How do I get involved? How do I make sure I'm not cheated or I'm not put on the disadvantaged side? So we have to do that. But of course, the organization also, the NPRA has been doing a lot of education, but how much can they do if the individuals involved are not concerned about it? Today, they put things in the newspaper, we don't even read it because we're not interested in it. So what it means is that as much education as the stakeholders will do, if the individuals themselves whom these things concern are not interested in it, we will not go far. We'll still be where we are. And it's sad that such important things we are not interested in. We'd rather talk about politics from morning to night.
Yes. Well, we are not doing that here.
And we'll do all the unnecessary politics and leave the very basic stuff that we're supposed to be.
Fortunately, TV3 is leading the way. We are very responsible.
I appreciate this opportunity. And I think that TV3 must be commended for taking on 8 good weeks.
I mean, let me take the funds on behalf of my employer.
Of giving us the opportunity to speak with the people. I get calls from the north, calls from all over the country saying that, we were watching your program, we are happy about the information. And people are asking, can you tell us about this? Can you do this for us? And I think that you people have done this country a great service.
Yeah.
And we are grateful for the opportunity.
Okay. Unfortunately, Dela will not be here next week, but we will try to convince him to make time for us in the nearest future. But in the meantime, he's reachable on 0244 622 238 0244 622 238.
Organizations that are interested in this, we have a whole training on this, a 2-day
Are the
training.
pensions alive?
Yes.
Okay.
And from next week, the one be here is that we'll be traveling with the Ghana Revenue Authority. They have bought into it full time.
Oh, fine.
And they have a 3-month schedule that we're going to go all over the country, educating their people on how they can prepare. Very practical sessions. People take paper and pen. They enter the details of how much they're expecting and do the balancing and realize that what I'm expecting now and what I earn now. And it's exciting to have such a time with such a huge organization.
Okay. There's a last contribution here from a good friend. Early retirement can never be wrong. It's good planning. Employment syndrome is what keeps people impoverished during retirement and is also a major contributor to low productivity. You agree?
I agree.
All right. Thank you very much. Dela Zumanu from Pensions Alliance. Tell your colleagues that we'll come back for you again.
I hear.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be here. It's been fun.
Absolutely. All right. We have the entertainment segments coming up.